Hi, I'm Jeremy, and today I'm going to show you a nice family game that I backed on Kickstarter by the name of World's Fair 1893. This game is designed by Alex Kevern. It plays from 2 to 4 players in about 40 minutes. It's for ages 10 and up. It is basically an area majority slash set collection game where players are going to be playing organizers of the World's Fair who are going to be trying to propose and put on a number of exhibits at the various sections of the fair. I will take a moment to show you the rules of the game, and then I'll come back here and give you my thoughts on it. Alright, so this might be the board setup for a two-player game of World's Fair 1893, and you'll notice that the game has a modular board. You use this side, which is two-sided for 2 players, the other side for 3 and 4, and then also this piece that flips around depending on number of players. And then also each of these sections will get randomly distributed over the course of the game. You're going to put 2 cards from this deck of about 90 cards into each area, and you might have to pull some cards out depending on the number of players who are playing the game. Then you'll shuffle up these action card references, give them 1 to each player, flip them over, and whoever gets player 1 will be the first player. And then players will be clockwise assigned from there. And then each player is going to get, based on their starting position, a number of initial placements. So this player could place in gray, this player could place in blue and green. So let's say this player is first purple, and they could place in gray, and then blue could place in blue and green. There would be player 2. So that would be all that you would need to do to set up the game, and then you would be able to begin your actions. And on each turn, and the game comes with really simple rules. You're going to be doing the following thing. You're going to select an area where you'd like to place a cube. This is an area majority game. So let me just show you how that would work. So essentially the player, let's say the first player, maybe they want to build up in the manufacturing area. They would select that. Then if they had any of these cards left over from the last turn, which they won't at the start of the game, they would execute those cards. Then they would get to take the cards that are available in the area where they place their first cube. And if they took any of these tickets, they would slide this forward 1 space for each ticket. And these are going to function as a game timer. So the player, by doing that, they increase their majority within this area, in the manufacturing area. Basically, these are different exhibit sections of the World's Fair where you're going to be competing to try and put on various exhibits. And this is an example of a proposed exhibit. So this would be an it's an electrical exhibit, the Tower of Light. It's represented by the yellow section right here. And by winning majorities within the yellow section, this player will be able to convert those cards into from proposed exhibits to actual exhibits, and those will be worth points at the end of the game. So that would be all that would happen on a player's turn, and then you would refill, going clockwise from the space that the player took a card, a number 3 cards. And those go in the next 3 spaces going clockwise. If you wrap around here, you skip this space. This is just a scoring space, and go to here. And you'll notice that some of these sections have a certain number of these, either 3 or 4 spaces for cards. If ever a space is filled, you would just skip it and move on to the next space. So this should be on round 1. Now it would be the next player's turn, the blue player's turn, and they would get to pick from a set of cards. So let's say the blue player takes these cards, or wants these cards, so they place here in the electricity area. They don't have any cards left over from last round to pick up, so then now they'll get these 3 cards, which they will just keep in front of them for the round. And then, again, 3 more cards will go up. Again, this space now, it has 3 cards, and it has 3 arrows there. So you would skip it and move on to the next space when refilling the 3 cards. So this is just going to go back and forth with the players doing those simple actions on their turn. So, for example, let's say it's the purple player's turn. They might place here, get these 3 cards. They don't have any special action cards to take. They did take a ticket, however, so the round timer would move on. And now it would go back to this player's turn, and let's say they placed I'm sorry, I forgot to flip out 3 cards. 2, 3, And so they might want to, since there's 4 cards here built up, they might want to claim one of those areas. So they'll claim this space here, and now they'll place their initial cube there, and now they have these cards here, which will allow them to do a special action. This icon on these cards means that you get to place an extra cube in the area where you just placed. So since they have 2 of those cards, they would be able to place 2 extra cubes in that area. Those cards would get discarded out after they've been used, and then as always we would refill our 3 cards, again skipping any spaces that are full. So those various cards that you're going to get, there are 4 different kinds, and they're explained on this cheat sheet that the game gives you. So this one we just showed you, add an extra supporter in the area where you place. This one here, it looks like, oh, I thought I just saw one. Anyway, it has this icon on it, and it allows you to place a cube adjacent to the space where you've just placed. This one here, which looks like this, these Bertha Palmer cards, they allow you to move any supporter to another area, so that could be one of your own or one of your opponents. And then finally, there are ones with a specific symbol on them, so such as this one or this one, and they allow you to place an extra cube in that area regardless of where you have placed your first cube for the round. So this is going to go on a number of rounds, and as people pick up ticket cards, this is going to advance. And at the point where it hits this mark, that will trigger the end of the round, and there will be a scoring. So the way that the scoring works, there's actually a really great cheat sheet for that as well, which gives you an explanation of each step. And the first thing that you're going to do is that you're going to move this marker here to just show you that you're in a scoring phase. Again, the game is played over 3 phases. Then you're going to score the midways, and that means that you're going to count up the number of tickets that each player has gotten. So you'll see who has the most of these. That person will get 2 points, and then every player, regardless of how many they've collected, will get 1 point per ticket. So if this player had the most and collected 2, they would get 2 points plus 2 points for 4 points. Every other player would get 1 point per ticket that they collected. Those would get discarded out once they're scored. Then the next thing that you're going to do is to score each area. And let me just set up a situation here to help explain with the scoring. So what you're going to do is you're going to award leader medals and approve exhibits in each area. And the way that that works is that, again, there's another little cheat sheet, and there's one of these included for each number of players, because the way this works for various numbers of players varies. Here, only in a 2-player game, only first place will get anything, and for winning an area, they're going to get 2 points, and then they'll also be able to approve 3 attractions. I'll explain what that means in a minute. And if there's a tie, nobody gets any points, but each player could approve 1 attraction, and that varies based on the number of players. Again, in a 4-player game, there is a first and second awarded, and ties work differently. But so this is a 2-player game, so we would look here in the manufacturing area. Purple has the lead, so they would get one of these 2-point markers, so they would get that. That's going to be worth 2 points at the end of the game. And then they could approve up to 3 attractions. And what that means is these proposed attraction cards that they've collected that match the color of the area where you've won, you could convert them into actual exhibited exhibitions. So you would turn in up to 3 of these cards, however many you've collected, and then you would trade them in for these tokens, which will be used in endgame scoring. So that player only had 1, they would only get to turn in 1. For second place in a 2-player game, blue would get nothing. Here in the electricity area, the players are tied. So again, in a tie, no players get any points, but they could each turn in 1 card. They each have 1 card, so they would each discard those, and they would each get 1 of these electricity exhibition tokens. And this would go around in each area. You would just do the same thing, see who's the leader, award points if necessary, and then approve cards for the people who have placed within that area. And once you've done that, then you'll move on to the third thing for the scoring, which is to recall supporters. And for every 2 supporters that you have within an area, you'll have to remove 1. So the way that that works is, for example, here, the purple player has 2. They'll have to take 1 and bring that back to their supply. The blue only has 1. Blue only has 1. Purple only has 1 here, so there's no change. Here, blue has 2, so they would have to remove 2. If blue had 3 in that area, they would just need to remove 1. You don't round up when deciding how many to remove. And blue has 1. After you've done all of those things, you will move the marker to the next round, and you'll continue to play from where you left off. This will go for 3 rounds, and then at the end of the game, there'll be a final scoring, where players will tally up the points that they've collected during the game, and they will also add in points for sets of completed exhibitions that they've collected during the course of the game. So, for example, if you had a token in all 5 colors, it would be worth 15 points, as shown here. If you only had 4 colors, that would be worth 10 points. If you had 3 colors, 6 points, 2 colors, 3 points, and a single token is worth 1 point. So presumably, though, you would have a hodgepodge, so you just form the biggest sets that you could. So, for example, if I had this, and that, this would be a set of 5 for 15 points, a set of 3 for 6 points, a set of 2 for 3 points, and a set of 1 for 1 point. You would add those points up to the points for the tokens that you've collected, either from collecting these ticket cards or from winning majorities within the sections over the 3 scoring rounds, and whoever has the most points will be the winner. Alright, so that's World's Fair 1893, and I think that this is an absolutely terrific family game. It's one of my favorite games of 2016 so far. And for a game that plays in 40 minutes, it doesn't have that many rules. It gives you a lot to think about each turn. You're going to be considering which position you want to place a cube to try and get majority so you can convert the cards that you've collected. You're going to be worried about what cards you're getting when you place there. You're going to be worried about, keeping your opponents from getting majorities and so on. And also you're going to be worried about, I suppose, about the round timer. There's only so many rounds in the course of the game, so and those moving that timer along gets you those ticket cards, which will also score you points and potentially a lot of points from doing that. So those are all big considerations to have in a game where you're essentially just placing one cube and then setting off a chain reaction of actions from there. So it's a really interesting game for something that's so rules light, and I've played it now I think 4 times, and I've been impressed by it every time with how smoothly that plays. I've played it with 2 players, 3 players, and 4 players, and I've enjoyed it with all 3 counts. Probably slightly more with the 4 players than the 2 players, but it really works smoothly with all counts, partially because the board is modular. Also, the game, I'm usually not somebody who's caught up on components, but in this game there's a lot of historical detail packed into the game. On the back of the rule book, I hope you can see that there, there is a map of the actual 1893 World's Fair, the various cards that you're going to get over the course of the game to give you powers. They have historical figures on them with descriptions of them. Every one of those ticket cards that you get, I believe, has an individual fact about an exhibition that was put on at the fair, as do all of those proposed exhibitions in the various categories. So here we have the Japanese vases exhibit in the Fine Arts Gallery of the fair, and then here we have the French bakery exhibit in the agriculture section. And just reading all those cards while you're playing just adds to the enjoyment of the game tremendously, I think. It really gives something that's really a mechanical game, a Euro game on its core, a lot more flavor. And there's just some basic enjoyment to be had in a game that's just all about set collection and achieving these goals of collecting these various sets. The way that the game is set up, where you not only have to collect cards, but then you have to win a majority in the section of that card's color in order to convert those cards, means that you're going to have to try to win at least each section once during the course of the game, so it forces diversification. And that might be a problem, except for the thing that happens during each scoring round where players lose half their cubes within a section. So it's very hard for a player to get a complete stronghold within a section. Also, with more players, second place does get to convert some cards. So there is a way to do that, but it does require some planning on your part. So, for a game that's 40 minutes, this is almost in filler territory, but it's really more substantial than most games that play in that amount of time, and it's more fun than most games that play in that amount of time. I think it's really terrific. It is World's Fair 1893, and those are my thoughts on it. So thank you for watching.